FX Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And in this video guys, we're going to be talking about what is it that you should be doing as a daily trader or as a day trader. What should you be doing when you get losses? Because ultimately losses are going to happen, and hopefully you know what to do when those losses come, because I think it's important to understand that the most learning that actually happens for you as a day trader is when you study your losses and learn what not to do again from those losses. So I'm going to take you through some losses that I actually took yesterday on two pairs, and I want to take you through the process of what I do myself when I go through losses, and what kind of things am I going to do, or what kind of things you should do in order to improve your trading every single trade that you take solely based on those losses. What lessons can you learn? So without further ado guys, let's get this started. Alright guys, so let's get into this process. Like, as you all know, everyone is going to take losses. I don't care how good you are. At some point, you're going to lose, right? And so for me, it's already gotten to the point where losses are just part of trading. And so I don't really care if I lose a trade. That's the mentality that I have. Most traders don't have that mentality. And so they might end up having more problems than other traders do that do have that mentality of, oh, well, it's just a loss, so what? Now, the so what part is very important, because you have to find out why did you lose the trade, and what could you have done differently? Sometimes you're going to lose trades, and there's absolutely nothing that you could have done differently. It was just a good loss, okay? Sometimes those happen. There are other times, though, when you take a loss, and it was because you either misread something, or the timing was off, or something could have been done better. And so as I took losses yesterday, I'm going to go over the two losses that I took. There's some things that I took away from those losses that I wanted you guys to see. So hopefully this way you can start analyzing your losses that you're having yourself and start to better your trading. So the first loss that I took was on EuroCAD yesterday. And both of these losses were on during the New York session. So here is the first trade. The first trade was EuroCAD. Now I want you to understand that we're coming off a peak formation high. So the overall trend for me was looking for sells. So as we get into this particular trade here yesterday during the US session, this is what I saw. Okay, at the time, this is what I saw. I saw price coming up to the top of the Asian range and basically pinning to the top of the range as here as a first leg, and then coming down and going up for a second leg here. So I'm thinking that this right here is a second leg, and basically made it into a multi-session type 2 pattern, right? So basically like this. So that's what I'm thinking as far as what I'm looking for. Now, a couple things for me that made me take this trade is, number one, the directional bias. Number two, you didn't really see anything that happened at all during London. So for me, this is the actual trade of the day for this specific pair. Four is the fact that we're going up to the top of the range, and then we're coming off and we're bouncing off of a 200 EMA, which is good. We have a first leg, we have a second leg. The second leg is inside of the box. There's multiple more than 5 candles in between the first and second leg, and the second leg gave us a star pattern. Okay, so all the factors for me for taking the trade are there. The last factor that needed to be put into place was a pullback, and this candle here provided that pullback after the star pattern. So the entry itself was at 1.36350. Okay, stop loss was 1.36550, and then the 2-to-1 risk reward ratio. Actually, I just wanted to take it back down to the bottom of the range. Obviously, it was well over 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, but this was the actual trade plan that I had for this particular trade. All right. Now I went into this trade on a sell limit order, so I didn't manually go into the trade. So the trade itself was triggered by itself via a sell limit order. And so this is where the sell limit order was, and the sell limit order was placed right after this candle. And so as soon as I placed it, it went up, tagged it, and then it got me into the trade. So everything for me from this aspect met my rules that allowed me to get into this trade. But I want you to check out what happens here as this plays out. So here I got taken out, right? I got taken out because it literally went straight up. Now, here's where I want you to realize what I could have done better, okay? And so for me, the reason I lost this trade was that my timing was just off, was just wrong, really. So it wasn't off, it was just wrong, right? The pattern itself hadn't even played out yet, okay? So I was basically too early into the trade setup, okay? That's my mistake. Now, the second mistake that I did, that I could have done better, that I should have done better, is there was a second opportunity for me to actually enter the trade. And, you know, at this particular moment in time, you could see it where the actual setup is here. First leg is here, second leg is here. And you had the same setup here. First, second leg inside of the box. More than 5 candles between the first and second leg, railroad tracks on the second leg, and everything was there. You even had a pullback, okay? So there was a second chance for me to actually take the trade. And the trade itself would have looked like this, okay? This would have been the second chance for me to get into the trade, all right? And then the second chance taken, it would have led me to a winning trade. All right. So what was it that I did wrong on this particular trade? For me, just two things. One, the fact that I was just way too early for this trade. The second thing is that I didn't check back on the trade, so I didn't look at the charts again. I simply set the trade up and then didn't come back to look at it until the next morning. Okay. And so that was my mistake, because there was an actual second chance of me getting into the trade again, and that trade would have basically ended up being a winner. Okay? So in this particular case, those two mistakes were what caused me to lose a trade, but also miss a second opportunity at this particular trade. All right? Let's take a look at the second trade that I lost. All right, so the second trade that I took and lost was on pound JPY. And so when we're looking at pound JPY, here's what I'm looking at. Now, this one, we're actually coming off of peak formation high, so we should be looking for sells, but the opportunity during the New York session presents itself to allow me to either take a reversal trade or a continuation trade. So for me, I thought of this as a continuation trade because we had a huge move happen during the Asian and London session, which is this right here. and then we ended up retracing right at the right time, because at the start of the US session, where are we? We're not at the top, we're not at the bottom, but we're damn near right in the middle of the entire range for that day. Okay. We also had the price action that's pinning to the 50, which is also a good confirmation, pinning to the 200 as well. Okay. So that's my thought process on this particular trade and why I decided to take it as a continuation trade. So the trade itself worked like this. Here is a big bearish pullback into that 50, and then a second one that pushed into the 200. This right here was the railroad track that I saw, and so I entered after the railroad track. This is my entry right here, as you see it on the chart. Now I want you to see what happens. Right there, that candle took me out. That candle on a second stop hunt. Now, look what happens. You see what happens? So, for me, what did I do wrong on this particular trade? For me, the directional bias was correct in this particular trade setup, in the sense that I was looking for a continuation trade, which is what ended up happening. The problem was, again, I was too early and the market makers weren't done stop hunting. Okay, so I got stop hunted. Now, the second scenario with this, for me at least, was the fact that, again, I set the trade and I did not come back to actually check on it and look at it. I put in the trade and then it was done, right? If I would have came back to check on the trade and I would have saw this stop hunt happen, that would have been a trigger that, for me, this is correct. This low is actually correct. And so there was an opportunity for me to go ahead and get into the trade again. That entry would have been here on this candle on the pullback, because for me, I still need a confirmation to get back into the trade. So the confirmation for me is right here. These three candles make up a star pattern that's pinning to a 50 and then also to the 200. That's also making a second leg, right? So the pullback candle right here, this blue candle would have pulled back, would have been my entry candle. So the trade setup itself would have looked something like this. A 2-to-1 risk-to-reward ratio, and then there was the trade. Again, off, two things I did wrong. One, that I was off in the timing. Second, that I didn't come back and check it. So both of these losses that I took would have still been losses no matter what, but I could have turned those two losses into two winners if I had just simply came back and checked on the actual trade setups and see how they were doing. So what could you learn from this, or what did I learn from this? Essentially is just to make sure that no matter how busy I am throughout the day or throughout the night, if I have a trade on, I need to make sure that I come back and I have to check on that trade, because a second opportunity, if I'm taken out on stop hunts, could present itself. And this happens all the time. You get stop hunted out of a trade, but you still get the movement that you wanted. How many times has that happened to you as a day trader? You picked the right trade direction. It just did a second stop hunt, took you out, and then went on its merry way to your actual target that you originally had to begin with, right? So when you guys are taking losses, number one, make sure that you're journaling every trade that you take on a piece of paper, on a spreadsheet, somewhere. Make sure that you're journaling this every single trade that you take, no matter what. Secondly, at the end of every day, at the end of every trading day, if you take a loss, review the loss and ask yourself the questions. Why did I lose the trade? Was the timing of it wrong? Was my entry wrong? Did I get stopped out on a stop hunt? What was it about the trade that was so wrong that I lost? What could I have done differently that could have avoided the trade? Okay, so hopefully you guys can learn from this and not make the same mistakes that I made here yesterday on these two trades. Guys, I hope this showed you some value. I hope you got a lot out of this video. Guys, if you like this type of content, please let me know in the comments below. If you've taken losses, what kind of stuff have you done to review your trades, your losing trades, and what kind of steps have you done before in the past? Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your trading day. Trade safe and trade consistently. Guys, if you need any more help, join us on FXN Plus. It's available right now on fxntrading.com. You'll get a lot of different value from FXN Plus. For example, blueprint videos, 9 sessions, 14 hours long, over 100 hours right now of group session videos from the past 2 years. Over 100 hours we're up to right now on these sessions. You also get weekly sessions every Sunday. Ask as many questions as you want. I actually give a weekly analysis during those sessions, and I also give a midweek analysis that I put up on the website for everyone to see as well. You get access to the MT4 and MT5 indicators that everyone asked for. That's how you get access to them. Private group, trading plan, custom trading journal. I mean, everything you could possibly want is on FXN Plus. Guys, join us there. If you need any more help, we'll be more than happy to help you. We'll see you on FXN Plus.